Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Mary Payton with All About STEM Radio. I come to you every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Time, although I am calling in or Skyping in from the great state of Hawaii. The show is being broadcast out of Fishbowl Radio Network in Arlington, Texas. And I do miss Arlington, but I'll be back soon. I'm praying that all of you are staying safe, staying in. If you have to go out, make sure you mask up. If you don't have a mask or don't know how to make a mask, go to All About STEM Radio on Facebook, and I have provided several mask patterns. So if you can sew on a button, you can make a mask. I've been making them for the last few weeks and mailing them home to my family. So, but without any further ado, I have a young man coming on the show today who was on the show about a year and a half ago. And he has made great strides in his music and what he's doing. So, y'all, this is a STEAM show today. So we're putting the arts in with STEM. He is the founder of Juwan Music. And I'd like to introduce to y'all Jamarius Ignont. Maris, are you there?
Hey.
Hey.
Yes, here I
am. How things going?
It's going good. I can't complain.
I'm sure.
I'm social distancing.
Well, if that's the case, I am way social distancing, being all the way here on the island. Yeah. Today they stopped us from going exercising on the beach. You can go to the beach, get in the water, swim, boogie board, snorkel, do your exercises in the water, but you can no longer walk up and down the beach to try to keep us all safe. So this weekend was my last weekend going to the beach and doing my beach walk. So I'm going to miss that until this is lifted. But I do understand why they're doing it. So, Jay, will you tell my guest a little about you, although you've been on the show before? So can you start us off?
Certainly, yeah. As you said, Juwan Music. I am the founder of that. That is my brand. Grew up a local kid, born in Houston, grew up in Texas. As far as split my other half time in the boot in Louisiana. So of course, country boy. Shout out to Pine Prairie, all the family. But yeah, grew up there, Houston, Dallas, Texas. Went to school, did my schooling, graduated, did my music. Here I am. That's such a sped up version, but I'm sure we're about to get into it. So,
well, before we get into the music a little bit, a lot of people think that musicians, they just come up, they're musicians, they hustle for their music, and so on and so forth. But you have a degree from Dallas Baptist University. Am I correct?
Correct. Don't say it out too loud. They're still looking for me.
Hey, I almost have my school loans paid off. I got 4 more months. Yeah. I'll be free. I'll own my degree. So we have to laugh about that. But you went to DBU. What did you major in?
Yeah, so I majored in biblical studies with a concentration on counseling. So I literally can, with the exception, if I do more school, I can do corporate counseling, so to speak, and all that. But anything outside of that, counseling-wise or disputes or handling all that, whether it's a church or third party or private, then I can technically do that.
Ooh, one of those smart young men. I enjoy that. I totally enjoy that. So give us a little bit about your music journey before we get into some of my other great questions. How did you get here? Get into the music, because you've been around my family for quite a while.
Right. So as far as how I got into the music, it actually, musician-wise, it started way back in high school. Like I played the piano, learned it from my mentor just by bugging him every day, and then I spent night after night learning everything. So I've always been a musician first, background guy, keyboard player, just wanted to play. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as rapping and the music and all that, that didn't happen until I went to DBU.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the way I got started, basically, it came down to I couldn't afford to pay a class one day, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna cut off your blackboard. You're online." So I was like, "Oh man, I don't have anything to do but to write." So I just sat there. I started writing, and just through that frustration, started writing about the struggles of life, writing about that. I'm like, man, that's pretty good. And I let some people hear it. You know, so they're like, hey, you can really do something, but didn't really pay it no mind until some guys were freestyling at the campus cafeteria. And I used
Mm-hmm.
to freestyle back in high school, you know, for fun because I played sports. You know, a bunch of guys, we just rap after the game on the bus, especially if you ever been in it, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I was rapping in the cast, and it just, everything fit and it clicked, and the crowds got bigger. It got bigger, and then it got to the point where I would literally get out of class. It'll be the evening. I'll sit there in my room, my dorm room at the time, and they would come in and say, "Hey, they calling for you." It was literally like the movie 8 Mile. Like, "Hey, they calling your name. They want you out there." And I was like, "Oh, snap, okay." So it got to the point with that we started rapping more, and I was like, "If I can do this on campus, I want to fucking, I don't know, make this a career. This sounds fun." And then it turned into my passion. Then I thought it just felt right. So I started rapping on campus. Shout out to one of my boys, Greg, because he came in and he was like, "Man, we need to get you rapping." And my first song I recorded, first couple tracks I recorded in the dorm room closet, just from a guy who had equipment, who recorded his own stuff. Was like, "Yeah, I'll record you." Didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what I was doing at all, not one lick. But that gave me opportunities to where people start inviting me to do events for them at, let's say, church or other things outside of venues outside of that because they knew I rap there. And that's really how I got started as far as the music.
Now, you have evolved because when I first met you several years
Hmm.
ago, you were primarily assumed, not primarily known as, but you know, as being primarily a Christian rapper, rap artist.
Right.
But since then, you have become a lot more socially conscious. And as
Hmm.
you've always known, because you've known me for a while, um, some of this new age rap music was not anything that I really followed. But I mean, your stuff is it's so. I mean, I've followed it. I've listened to all of it, and it's so much more than Christian rap. It's socially conscious rap. It's things that are actually going on today. How did you make that journey to that?
Right. So DBU, it was it was interesting because it was there's a lot of musician artists there at DBU.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot. There's a lot of talented people that can that do whole singers and all. And but one of those things is that DBU being a Christian university, if I was rapping or doing anything, it's assumed that man he's just hardcore Christian rap like the Lecrae's, like the One
Hmm.
One C's, like the Andy Marineos, Trick Lee's, all that. And though I recognized they were pioneers in the game, and it was cool that they were creating that avenue, I've always been rugged. I've always been hip hop. I've always
Yeah.
been outside of that. I always liked the Eminem, the old school Kanye's, all that stuff. I like the music and stuff, and some of the stuff they were doing behind that. And one of the things that got me, and it was at first it was a transition. I won't lie to you, it was a transition because my mom listens to my music and she's like old school, like in the morning gospel, Saturday morning clean up old school. Like
Yeah.
she wakes you up with that prayer without ceasing old school. So uh, I had to understand the balance. And then I thought to myself, well, I don't have to, how do you make something good? Because one of my friends, and I'll keep it real, some people outside of that setting, they thought that as far as Christian rap as a whole was kind of corny because
Yeah.
they felt like it was a big old sing along church camp kind of surface rap, if that makes sense. Like it touched
Mhm.
on some things, but it weren't really rocking with it. And I was like, well, how do you? And then it made me think, well, how do you reach someone else's experience outside of what they know and what they believe and what
Yeah.
you believe? How you really touch someone? And I thought to myself, well, you touch someone by being real about your experiences and understanding that reaching somebody, you don't have to say Christ Jesus, God, this every line and
Mhm.
everything and follow with that. Sometimes being real to someone says, hey, I know what you've been through because I was just there yesterday. This is how I got through it. This is
Mhm.
what I did. Or, hey, I'm human too. Like, I get mad like you get mad. So I put my pants on one leg at a time like you. I'm no better. So once I started approaching like that, one of the best compliments and one of the greatest accolades I ever received was one of my friends who they didn't vibe with. They vibe with rap music, but they didn't vibe with gospel music, Christian music, rap like that. And they said, "Jay, I will listen. I don't like Christian. I like that thing, but I'll listen to you." And that made me take a step back. Like, wow, okay. But I didn't. But the other portion of it is Christian rap and Christian artists. I didn't want to put myself in a box.
Right.
That's why I didn't consider myself a Christian rapper, Christian artist. I'm a rapper. I'm an artist.
Mhm.
I'm a rapper who will talk about Christ. I'm a rapper who will talk about politics, and I'm a rapper who will talk about the issues of the day, and I'm a rapper who will talk about how I had a good time. It just all depends on where I am in life and what message I'm trying to convey.
Mhm. Mhm. So, based on what you just said, was it was it difficult for you to step out of that box that people had put you in? Because you weren't in that box. You were a rapper. You were an independent artist, but people had put you into the box of being a Christian rapper. So was it hard for you to make people understand? You know, this is just your music. It's not saying that it doesn't fall under a specific parameter other than the fact it's rap music.
Right. It was. It wasn't as hard as some because I didn't have a whole lot of notches on my belt. I didn't have a lot of time put in, if that
Okay,
makes sense.
it
So when
does.
I first started out, uh, I didn't. This is not years discovery. This is discovery through some projects,
Mhm.
and I've had some, and it was weird. It still was a struggle too because I've had some people who I knew, or not even some people. I had a person. There's one person was like, "Hey, you sound arrogant here," and I was like, "How? And how?" And they didn't quite understand where I was coming from. And when I explained it, we were able to see some different page. So it was some of that because what I was doing where I was, they weren't used to that type of culture.
Yeah.
Um, so I had to break past that mentally, but I had to break past that mentally myself with that, it especially with the whole parents, because any I don't care what anyone says, any child or any person who realizes their dream and their goals is awesome when friends and family are there. But if you're fortunate to have your parents in your life or even a parent in your life, you want them to be behind what you're doing.
Yeah.
You want them to be right there because it's that extra there. So I'll never forget. I sat down. I told my dad my plan. Told my mom my plan. They've heard the stuff before, even though they don't quite agree with like every way that I deliver it. They're behind me.
Mhm.
They're behind me. And when it comes to technology, my parents are like dinosaurs. They no, they don't do Facebook. They don't do you book this book notebook. They don't do nothing. And it was good old fashioned email. And then my dad told me not long ago, hey, I heard your stuff on YouTube, and they took me back. I was like, how did you find out what YouTube was? And then I was like, you knew that? That's a real conversation.
And
But but that meant a lot to me. It meant a lot, and it means a lot, and that's the thing because they saw how passionate I was and how true I kept walking in those footsteps. So it was good.
yeah, yeah. And and I know this has been a journey because I've watched you over the years as you have sent music out to Disney, to producers, to Fruit of the Loom, and all of
Yeah.
that. And
Hmm.
you are considered a independent artist. Is that correct?
Correct.
So tell my audience what that means being an indie artist.
Independent artist means you have all the freedom and all the blame. So you have the freedom to just be honest with you. You have all the freedom in the world, meaning you can go make your deal with such and such, and it's depending on your paperwork. But for the most part, I can go over here to Apple and pitch my product,
Yeah.
and it not interfere with me going over to title per se because my label says if I have a label, my label says, oh no, our artists go through title primarily. We don't put
Yeah.
our music on Apple. You see there? So you don't have those restrictions. At the same time, it's on you.
Hmm.
So you're only as good as your drive. You're only as good as your hustle, and you're only as good as your creativity. And the creativity, it's not limited to the booth. As far as that, your creativity is what you do. So just a little thing of what I do. People are on their cell phones all the time. I
Yes.
like games. People are on apps all the time. So I spend a good portion of days reaching out to all the app developers as far as game apps and
Hmm.
sending my material saying, hey, do you need music for that? And not just music there. Hey, I also play music as well. Here's this and this. I have an ear for things. This is just planting the seed. It's planting the seed, putting yourself out there, and you actually have to do the legwork. That's what being independent is about. Is more so you're doing the legwork. It's the greatest reward, but it's the biggest struggle, and it's the
Yeah.
hardest hustle to do because it's on you, and you have to be on top of you every single day.
And the thing is it's not just um, you're not just doing music. You also have a job. You also have a family. You also have a life.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
having making that balance has got to be. I'm not saying that it's hard, but you have to actually do it. You can't just say, well, I'll go play with the babies one day, or I'll spend time with my family one day, and eventually get there. You're there
Hmm.
on a daily basis. You're
Yeah.
married, you have wonderful kids, you have a wonderful wife, you are
Yeah.
you're every the whole crew is in the sound like in the foxhole, which especially now that you said your dad found you on YouTube and he's not a tech
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not one time. There's a story, but it's yes, he's
I
not.
love that story. I'm keeping that story. So, but
Oh
because
man, there's so
I,
many.
I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly learning from young people like you how to get myself out there, even due to some of the conversations that we have.
Right.
Now, let's talk about your label a little bit, Juwan Music. How did you found that? How did you develop that? How did that come about? Can you let me know that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When I started in college, my rap name wasn't always John One Music. It was Just J Music, Just J, and and it was catchy. I loved it. You know, JJM had the whole thing, and I went by that for almost 2 years. The
Uh-huh.
problem then my guy sat down with me, my man Amar. He sat down with me, and shout out to him. He said, "Hey, um, you're serious about this thing, and I'm behind you. The issue is your rap name, man. If you keep that name, you can get sued because there's just J's out there.
Oh,
People will try to come after you if you do that. And so that's really where it came about. The JAI, those are my initials in my name, and the one on the end, I'm the first of me, but it's also the one as far as who I serve. So it's kind of a playoff Juwan, and you can't sue me for my name. That's my name. It's my initials to my name. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why the Juwan came about as far there. But it's really my man Amar really reaching out to me and said now we had that conversation like, hey, the higher you go up, and I want to say that a situation happened where a rapper was getting sued, or he seen something happen recently. And he was like, yeah, we can't let this be you over this. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where that came about.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, I have Jamarius, founder of Juwan Music. He is talking to us about being a indie rap artist. He's going to talk to us about branding and some other wonderful things. And you are listening to All About STEM Radio here on Fishbowl Radio Network. And don't forget, I come to you every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Uh, here on Fishbone. So, Jay, you were talking about, how this came about, Jawan Music. Now, how long have you had that name? How long have you been going under that name?
Oh man, probably 5, 6. I would say 6, 7 years.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I would say 6, 7 years because I rapped
Mhm.
yesterday my first, guess you can call them two project. Yeah, it's about 6 years, 5, 6 years.
Now, based on what we talked about, and based on the fact that you just brought up selecting the right name, making sure you don't have a name that you can get sued for, tell us a little bit about your branding.
Yeah. So my
So,
branding, John. Go ahead.
what indie art audiences or artists need to know about branding and putting yourself out there?
Right. So what you need to know is your name is most important because that's what makes you stand out.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you stand out from all the other people John One music. So what do I mean by that? I can type in when I first typed John One in Google,
Mm-hmm.
very few things on it, and honestly, it was anything related to John One was outside the United States.
Oh.
So right there, yeah, right. So right there, that's a gold mine to me. I was like, okay, so if you were to put JAI with the numeric one or JAI with the numeric one music all together, I'm gonna pop up on Google first. I'm on Google. You're gonna see my things first. Branding. So how do you put yourself out there? The first thing it starts with your name. The second thing starts with it's your content. You got to have something behind it, and it has to be consistent. People will respect consistency. It's not about how good you are all the time. It's about how consistent you are.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
have to be out there. You have to be constantly pushing on there because you can wait and waste time. Perfect example. Love my producer Aaron. Aaron, I call AP, but
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, he we wanted to do a music video,
Yeah.
and videos require time, especially if you want them good. Requires coordination.
Yeah.
And then I noticed time started going. And then I thought to myself, Aaron, it just hit me. I said, hey man, people just want to see me rap, right? He's like, yeah. And I was like, well, we don't have to do a whole production for that. I can just rap and we can just record it, right? He's like, yeah. So that plot in my mind, what would I do? So what I did was I started taking beats, either portions of songs I wanted to do upcoming or beats that I liked, instrumentals I heard. And I started freestyling. I started doing raps over it, put a nice production on it. Aaron, shout out to him because he's behind the video and the recording of everything. He's wearing multiple hats doing that. And we
Mm-hmm.
put it out there and it became quality content. And now I have that content for my Google when you search it, being verified on Google when you're looking up there, or when you're looking at my website, jaimusic.com, or when you're searching there. And the last thing I would say, or not the last thing, but one of the last things I would say is making sure everything lines up. That's why I say your name's most important, because you can type in JAI1 music all together in the search, and you can find that for Instagram. That's my Instagram handle. That's my Twitter handle. That's my YouTube. That is on Google. That's my Facebook. That's my website. It's all the same. You don't see JAI with music and then my Instagram's little grown folk 52, and then my Twitter is too hot to handle 5. Like,
Oh.
people are going to forget that, and it doesn't line up. And business wise, it doesn't look as professional and all drawn together.
Okay, that makes sense. So your brand, you have your brand across the board on all your social media,
hmm
on your website, on your label. All of that is the same. Now, as an indie artist, how do you get people to look at you? I mean, not just listeners, but someone who wants to have you on their show or wants you to make music for them. How do you
Right.
push that hustle to get people to look at you?
Well, beat them over the head with it. Beat them over the head with it, man. You gotta be not annoying, but persistent.
Uh-huh.
Uh, you want to. Most people will listen to you because of who you are, as far as they've seen you and they know, and how you present yourself and carry yourself. People will get behind that. But I've had people follow me and see on there and say, "Man, we love what you did," because I had other material content to go with it. They saw that I really want to do this thing, and I wasn't just here for a one stop. Hey, just check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why people got invested to you, and that's one. Two, you got to find your audience. You got to find people who are like you. As far as there, before you can cast a big net, cast a smaller net and be effective where you are. So in my vein, the J. Cole's, the Kendrick Lamar's, the Logic, Joyner Lucas, who just dropped a project, just to name a few of them,
Mm-hmm.
their fans typically follow my page. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
their fans, and vice versa, because we're all within the same type of subject matter.
Yes.
I and and you can't let that intimidate you. So I never heard a person say, "Man, I have too much good music." That's one of the two things I never heard someone say. I never heard someone say they have too much good music, and I never heard someone say I have too much money. Those are two things I've never heard. So give them the music. People are always gonna love the music, and good music and great music is timeless. Won't go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
But you gotta do the guerrilla warfare where you gotta see where they are. So on Instagram, if I see their pages, see the fan pages, I reach out to the fan pages. I reach out to the moderators of the fan page. I speak to some of the fans of the page. I follow here. I click here. I go to the articles. I go to Reddit. I go here. If there's a hip hop thread, I put my content in there. On Facebook, there's hip hop only groups and rap groups and artist groups. I follow those rap groups. I get accepted in. I put my stuff out there. I got group meets. I have friends pushing here. I have other article opportunities I'm submitting to as far as there. It's just a lot of avenues that you can use, and this is in addition to still putting my stuff. You're still constantly putting your stuff on the gram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and you're still posting on a consistent basis so people know what you are. And then you just keep planting seeds, and then sooner or later, you have a harvest over here, harvest over there, harvest over there. And on the outside, people's like, "Man, you have so much going on." And you're like, on the inside, it's like, "Yeah, because I've done like 45 million different things." But it's awesome, though. That's how that works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, you're talking about planting seeds and being out there and constantly on that grind, constantly pushing. With COVID-19 happening right now, how can someone constantly make sure they are still visible in this situation? I mean, I've been you watch TV, and a lot of the talk shows. They're doing their talk show from home, and I look on Facebook and I see certain people that I know do certain things. They're doing doing a little music on their Facebook page and stuff like that. What are you doing to stay relevant with COVID-19?
Yeah, so with COVID-19, I know it hit a lot of artists because
it did.
They're not touring. Some things they may have had booked, like look at South by Southwest, that got canceled. That's the biggest music event in Texas, and it's one of the biggest music events in the United States.
And see,
and it got canceled.
Here we have a thing called Merry Monarch, which is the Hawaii version of South by Southwest, and everything is shut down. How do people keep themselves in front of the public in a situation like this?
Right. So this is where creativity comes into place. Your social media outreach. Everybody's at home. And if you're essential, even essential people want to be home. So everybody is at home. So what are they looking at? They're looking at their phones, their laptops, their computers, YouTube. This also means if you play it right, those executives, those business people, those A&Rs, those people who will usually be in meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and they got to go here and set this up, they're at home.
Oh.
They're still. Yeah.
Okay.
So I look at this as a great opportunity for me. I look at this as one of the biggest, we pray for the families that are affected by COVID, but even within the madness can lie your biggest blessing. And the biggest blessing is there are entities that normally it'll be so hard to hear because it'll be too crowded and too loud. Well, now they're at home where it's quiet, per se. Now they're checking things a lot more. Now that increases your chance to reach out. So what do you got to do? You got to do what you do on social media, but do it to a greater degree. With me, that means pushing my videos, putting it out there more, sending more emails out to entities, reaching out to more executives, reaching out to more labels, more people as far as their everything, because those emails are going to come back. And I've actually had a greater amount of success during this time period of having those eyes looked on me. Whereas months ago, though I had some eyes looking on me, it wasn't as much because just be honest, when you get an email notification on your phone, most people are not just checking their email. How many times have we just looked at something or missed the notifications like, oh, that came? But now it's not as hard. And then I've seen artists doing, my wife was telling me how, and you might have saw a situation happen with T-Live and Babyface, or Teddy, with Babyface, but artists are getting on Instagram Live. They're getting on their live streams and starting to do music on there. Some doing concerts, and now these artists are having like a battle where they're doing people's library and content versus their content. Celebrities are doing it now. But that's the kind of creativity we're speaking of. And I've seen some people just shoot the YouTube videos and everything, but now's the time to come up. It's almost as if the market is being reset and it's kind of putting everybody at the same starting line.
Wow. I didn't even think about it like that. But you're right, because we're looking for things to watch. We're looking for things to do. People are being noticed more than they were because, people are sitting still. They're no longer, as you said, going to this meeting, that meeting, in the car to pick up their kids from soccer, or having to go to this event or that event. Now they're sitting still and they're looking for things and they're finding things. I wonder, and this is just me and one of my crazy comments, how many people are going to be found that would have never been found without COVID-19. Not to say COVID-19 is a wonderful thing or a great thing. It's a horrible situation.
Right.
And I'm praying that everybody out there is staying safe. But I wonder how many people are going to be identified for their area of specialization based on this happening in the world. That would be interesting to find out.
Yes, and that's what I believe as well. That's what I saw. I saw with Aaron, and we've been pushing ever since.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Because I know you have to see. When did I meet you? I met you when I came back from Dubai. When I moved back from Dubai,
Hmm.
and I mean, you have been hustling ever since I known you. You
Right.
have been putting yourself out there ever since I've known you, and you've never stopped. Based on this hustle that you have, and every time I talk to you, I learn something new about what I need to do for myself. Um, what have been some of the obstacles that you come across?
So one of the obstacles recently is, and it goes back to being independent. So I released my debut album about a month and a half month ago or so. Please be advised on
Hmm.
Spotify, iTunes, all the major streaming platforms that you can, Pandora, Amazon Music, Google Play, Title, all that. Please be advised. And one of the hardest things was I had a situation in place, but I had to get songs cleared on my own through like sample songs, through publishing, through different things, where it was coming back and I had to go back and forth and getting my music right as far as, hey, this sample got to clear. Hey, here's the paperwork. Where normally you have a middleman for that. Normally
Yeah,
you have someone for that. That's where it comes in. Being independent is that's one of the biggest struggles on there. Being sometimes being a one man band in a sense that you're being pulled in so many different directions. You have to utilize your time wisely for that moment. Though you want to do many other things, it requires a focus.
hmm,
Um, am I just going to focus on solely reaching out via Instagram today? Am I going to solely reaching out via YouTube today? Am I solely going to work on this management list today? Am I going to work on reaching out to this clothing, just straight clothing apparel today? So just being on your own, that's one of the biggest things. And of course, J. Cole said it in one of his lines in a song. He said, "Every poet wants to be loved." Uh, one of the hardest things is just being even keel, not getting
hmm,
too up and not getting too down, because it's a stressful situation. And it's not just music, just when you're chasing your dreams, when you're on the job, when you're trying to achieve more than what you want at that level, it's so stressful when you can see the finish line, or you can see the door cracked, or you can see if I can just get this and this and this, but you're in a position where you're like waiting for that moment to happen. So what do you do during that time? And that's why I feel in the space is grinding and hustling that actually keeps me. I hustle and grind as much as I do because it keeps me from being down, so to speak. Like, oh man, it hasn't happened, or this ain't happening. But the more I started walking, I became more thankful for what has happened because a lot has happened, and
hmm.
here we are.
Yeah, a lot of good things have happened. Now, you mentioned your most recent album that came out. Would you introduce that album to my audience? Tell them where they can find it. Tell them some of the music that's
Yes.
on it. Because we've been talking about the how to get here and where you came from, but you know what? We have not talked about what you have for my audience to listen to.
Well, please be advised. That's my album. That's my baby. That was
Uh-huh.
years in the making. I love it because it was all independent. No outside. It was just me and Aaron. And shout out to Andre, my man Andre husband. He's featured on one of the tracks there by myself. But on Spotify, I became a verified artist on Spotify. So by my name, I have a little blue check on Spotify. But you can type in JAI one, the numeric one in Spotify. You pull up. Please be advised. the album, or if you want to type in "Please Be Advised" in Google with Juwan, it should pop up all the entities, and I have it on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, with the problem with the music, Pandora, Tidal, just about anything you can name. There's a whole bunch of Deezer. I believe that's for my UK audience and those who have that. But it's amazing. It's awesome. I believe it's about 14, 15 tracks strong. Matter of fact, I just had one of my artist friends who's doing big things, good things. Shout out to him, Street Hymns, or Lavindo as he goes by now. He just randomly reached out to me today and told me I listened to the first half of your project, and it's awesome. It's fire.
It is.
Fire emoji.
It is.
And what's crazy about him, he's doing stuff. He's battle rapping. He's doing a lot of stuff. But COVID-19, see there now he had the opportunity to sit down and actually check out some things. So I would advise you check it out. Please be advised. It talks about my life. It talks about what I've been through. It talks about what I had to overcome, and it talks about where I want to be, where I want to go, who I want to be as a man, where I want to go, moving forward. All you're going to get is 100% authentic. I keep it real. I don't sugarcoat. I tell it how it is. That's how I was raised.
And he is telling the truth about that. And for me to like it, hey, I'm telling you, the young man is awesome. What are some of the tracks that you have on there? I can't ask you what your favorite, but I know you probably give me out of 14, you're going to say 10 of them are your number one favorite. But
oh man,
talk about some of your tracks.
I do have a favorite, actually. I do have a favorite. I would have to say my second track, Discriminated, is my favorite. Why? Because in every song, I don't know what it is, but when you like a song, you know how you can point to a moment where
yep,
it may not catch everyone else, but that's what caught you in the song. And from when the beat dropped in that song, how I came in, mixed in, because it does have a sample in the beginning, how the beat dropped and how I came in with the power I came in with. I love it. It's and what my only tragedy is that's like the shortest song on the whole project. It's like 2 minutes and 17 seconds, and I do that. But I love that. I love Joy because it's awesome piano and awesome hook work done. Shout out to Tone Jones for that, who put that together. But I love that. And I would have to say, yeah, Please Be By Myself, and I Need That. Those are two tracks I have with Andre. He's a good young singer out here. And, I mean, he just went in on that. And By Myself became one of my most played tracks. And I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty good. But those are the ones I would put up there amongst like my favorite. And of course, No Apologies and Month Off. Like those are my babies on there, because I had released those kind of before that project as a lipid test, and that received a very warm welcome, and I love those tracks. So, but Discriminated, that's my favorite one on there.
Now, what is the premise of Discriminated? Because with COVID-19 and being separate and all of this, I didn't have time to get some of your tracks uploaded so we could play them. But, and, you know, with the studio being kind of short, because you can't have people coming into the studio all the time. So, of course. What is the basis of Discriminate? What's the basis of that song? Because I want people to reach out and listen to these tracks, because I'm going to tell y'all, they are awesome.
Discriminated, I was in a tough spot. And one of my past jobs, not the prior to the job I have now, but prior to, there was a garden out there. That's where I used to that's where I wrote a majority of this project. I would go on my breaks. I go to the garden. I write that. And Discriminated one was how I was feeling at the workplace, as far as not discriminated as far as just color and ethnicity, but about opportunity. How I felt I was right for a situation versus in my mind, I'm still trying to hold it together. I'm still trying to get a family. I'm still trying to push for the music. So Discriminated is a track that leaks out the frustrations of not being fully where I want to be yet. In spite of that, I'm still pressing towards the mark. Uh,
Yeah.
that's how I dropped the song. I said, living out my greatest fear as I die alone. This life is crazy. We sprinting through like a marathon. Took a hit, got the ammunition to carry on. Family in the boot. Tell my grandma finally I'm coming home. So those are things I meditate on. That I hate that I'm not able to go down to Louisiana and see my family as much as I want to because I'm chasing this or I'm pulled in a different direction. I don't feel as free as I could be. I hate that I felt stuck at a job where they marginalize you as a person, where I feel like I had another calling. I hate that I want to do this, that, and the third, but I feel like I was getting held back. That's what discriminated.
Okay. I like how you explain that because a lot of people would have made the assumption that it was ethnicity or social economic situations. But, when I listened to it, I'm like, I understood it because, you know, there are just some jobs or some situations that keep you from doing what your passion is. And it's not necessarily because I'm a female, I'm an African American female. It's just that situation. And so a lot of people, so that can ring true for, virtually anybody who's out there trying to make it. Because you got to look at it. You're trying to do this and say, no, we've changed the parameters. Now you got to have this behind you. And then you get that, oh no, we've changed that. So I like that idea. Now, you mentioned a few names.
Yes.
Now, let me, wait a minute, before I do that, I want to tell my audience, we've been talking about uh, Juwan being a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
He can also sing, y'all. He's got a voice.
Uh-huh.
He can
Uh-huh.
sing. I've heard him sing. I've heard him sing at my house. No, I'm not going to say he can sing. I'm going to say it in the country sense. The young man can sing,
Oh no.
but
No, no.
yeah, you can sing, and
Uh,
but I'm extremely proud of your rapping. But it just takes me back, and I just find it so funny the people that you have worked with that I already know. But being an indie artist, um, you have to seek out people to help you in your journey. So, is there anyone out there that you'd like to give a shout out to um, in recognition for helping you? Because you talked about the young man who helped you to identify your name 5 or 6 years ago. You talked about your producer. You talked about you have mentioned a lot of people, but well,
yes,
not a
and
lot,
not even all.
about 6 or 7. And
Right.
you got to give a shout out to your wife because she's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it starts there. Yeah. So yeah, my wife always starts there. She allows me to do what I need to do with peace of
Mm-hmm.
mind, and that's the biggest thing right there. But just other names, of course, my producer Aaron, who's been at it for years, but uh, one of my other guys, Kohei, he used to record me as well prior to Aaron. Shout out to him for working and believing in me as well. He still shares my stuff to this day. He still will post up to this day. So I love that about him. My mentor, Lloyd Spence, he was not only he taught me the keyboard, but he's one of the ones who helped me navigate through this music and it just showed me other things as a man. And of course my parents. But really, there's so many names. But shout out to my whole it's the whole crew. It's from Mansfield, my whole crew from you may not believe it or not, but I'm gonna shout it out my PS4 community
Mm-hmm.
on there because they go hard for me and it's awesome. It is awesome. I'm like, what? There's opportunity there too. That's actually a cheat code for those. Yeah, if you play the game and you link up and you know a bunch of guys on the game, start sharing some stuff about your life. You'll see who goes hard for you. And it's awesome.
Oh.
Another avenue. And And then my family down home in the booth, my grandma, my cousin. There's just so many names in there, and to name, but those would be one. And then special one I can't forget. My guy, his name's Greg Simpson. He's actually the one. Greg Simpson, two names, Greg Simpson and Troy Bryant. Greg
Mm-hmm.
Simpson is the one who actually looked at me in the eye and said, "Your stuff is good enough to be recorded." That's all he said. And I didn't believe him. I was like, "Man, you talking crazy and nonsense." And he said, "I'll be back." And he was the one that actually, because he was a freshman at the time, and he
Uh-huh.
was so, I guess, out there as far as talkative. And he found the other freshman during orientation, who actually he's the one who found out the other freshman recorded music and did that and brought my name up and said, "Hey, you record tomorrow." So without him, I
Oh,
wouldn't have got my first. Uh, I guess it's not record deal, but I wouldn't have got my voice recorded at first, which led to me going to my other guy co-eds and other things. But him and then Troy Bryant, he came in that same class, and he's always been there for me. He's like a little big brother, always helping me through, always supportive, and always saying like, "Man, you can do it." And he stays firm with me, so I never forget that. I always love him for that.
okay. All right. So we've got like 3 minutes left. Remind my audience, Jay, where they can find your music, where they can find you, and are you if you're doing anything through COVID-19 where they can watch you do something, you know, where to find Please
Hmm.
Be Advised, the new album that I'm just loving because this is
Yeah.
a new side of you I haven't seen. So it Jay, it is, it is. So tell my audience where to find Juwan music.
Yes, JAI with the numeric one music. You just plug that in Google. I'm popping right up. You can do that if you're Facebook, facebook.com/JAI1music, Instagram.com/ that, or at Jai1 Music, Twitter, same thing. That's where you can find it. My album, however you want to stream it, please be advised. That is on, again, Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, um, just a whole bunch of plethora of other platforms as far as however you need to stream. I can get it to you. YouTube. How can I forget that? It's on YouTube. If you type in
Yes.
"Please Be Advised" with Y'all One Music, it's on there as well. Because I thought about y'all. And however you want to see me, my biggest platform right now is Instagram. That's where I do my biggest communication. That's my biggest gathering as far as fans following. That's where I concentrated a lot of my focus on. But if you
Mm-hmm.
follow any one of those sites, you're going to get a trickle of what I've gotten posted from Instagram. That's the biggest thing. And then I need my YouTube subscribers up. On my YouTube, I play keyboard, so I do a lot of mixes of songs. So JAI1 music. If you type that in YouTube, subscribe, follow the page. I'll make sure I get more content out there, and we'll get it going.
Okay, because I
We'll
follow
get it
the
on
page.
popping.
So, but hey, I'm gonna tell you, Jay, I am so extremely proud of what you've become. I've watched you over the years. I'm so excited about this album. Please be advised, and you keep doing what you're doing. Stay on that grind. Stay on that hustle. So it is now time for us to get off of here. I don't know if Gary's in his spot or not because I don't see him. But, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another great show with Jamarius. He is everywhere. He is the founder of Jawan Music. He's got a new album out called Please Be Advised. He is a young man I am extremely proud of his
Thank you.
journey. He's an indie artist. So I want to thank y'all for listening. So until next week, when I'll have another awesome show. This is all about STEM radio. I come to you every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. here on the great Fishbowl Radio Network.